Balad is about 50 miles north of Baghdad in Iraq's Sunni Triangle. Earlier this year, freelance journalist David Axe was embedded near the city with the U.S. Army's 4th Infantry Division. He had a chance to visit a training facility for Iraqi troops and go on patrol with an Iraqi Army unit.
Well, I was embedded with the 4th Infantry Division near Balad in early February. I spent some time at this small satellite forward operating base called Mackenzie, and there's a co-located American military transition team, they call them. It's a team of officers whose job it is to train up the Iraqi Army. So the idea is you bring this Iraqi battalion of about 500 guys to the base, and they live and train with this transition team on a daily basis until they're ready to head out to their own base and operate on their own. The MIT team at Mackenzie had inherited this. They had recently arrived when I was there in early February, and they had inherited this Kurdish unit. Now, the area around Balad doesn't have many Kurds, and the Iraqi units that have been recruited from the local populace are, in fact, dominated by Shiite Arabs. But the Shiite units had been performing so poorly that the Iraqi Ministry of Defense, in cooperation with the U.S. Army, decided to deploy an Iraqi Army unit from the northern part of Iraq, from Kurdistan, down to Balad to help out the local units. The MIT team was really impressed with the Kurdish unit. It seemed to them, I was told, that they'd received a lot of training before, but they didn't have any records to detail that. And the language barrier, despite there being translators, kept them from really probing too deeply into the unit's past. The MIT team told me that this Kurdish battalion, they moved like Americans, they were organized like Americans, their leaders behaved like American officers. So apparently there had been some American training in the past. And when I was there taping these Kurds on an exercise and talking to the MIT officers, the transition team officers, so this stuff started looking really familiar, and I started poking around and found out that I had actually embedded with this very Iraqi Army unit back when they were still in Sulaymaniyah, or more about 9 months ago in Sulaymaniyah. And indeed, they had an attached National Guard, U.S. National Guard infantry unit there, artillery unit, that had been training them up as infantry and had been at it for 6 months. So the inconsistency across the roster of Iraqi Army units is wild. And this Kurdish unit is perhaps one of the best. But despite the quality of its training, the system that facilitated that seems to have broken down to the point where the U.S. Army didn't even know, or parts of the U.S. Army didn't even know, that other parts of the U.S. Army had spent 6 months training this unit. There's a problem, though. This unit, despite its quality, it's predominantly Kurdish. And local leaders, Mostly Shiite Arabs, have protested the presence of this unit, despite the gross need for more security in Balad. Local sheikhs were daily lodging protests with the MIT team and with U.S. Army commanders, saying, we don't want these Kurds on our streets, it's just going to make things worse, we don't trust them, this is a Kurdish invasion. And the U.S. officers in the area were trying to calm them down, say, look, these guys are Iraqis, they'll follow orders, they're here to keep your streets safe, and this is not tantamount to a Kurdish invasion of Arab Iraq.
David Axe also had the chance to go on patrol with an Iraqi Army unit while in the Balad area.
So what's going on here?
This is the IA station.
Iraqi Army?
Iraqi Army. And we're going to see if we can get a few guys to conduct a TCP.
What is that?
Traffic control point.
Okay.
Basically, we'll use them to help us check for IEDs and basically known bad guys is what we're looking for in the area. And we have a description list as well as pictures, and that's what we're going to use to try to track them down.
Usually have pretty good luck getting the IA to come out with you?
Usually they're pretty friendly about it. Sometimes they're limited with their vehicles, but they make best with what they got, and they've been doing a good job.
Assalamu alaikum. Salam.
Hey,
Salam.
Tiger. Which one is the guy in charge?
Badi.
Salam. Salam.
What we want to do is have a few guys, maybe a gun truck from you, and conduct a TCP.
Go on. This from
4 guys, a gun truck, and conduct a TCP. For 1 hour.
When we first pulled into the Iraqi Army base to pick up a squad to take with us to the checkpoint, the road checkpoint, the local commander there said, "No, you can't have any guys. We don't have time. We don't have the manpower to spare. I'm sorry, you can't." And Lieutenant Austin just rolled his eyes because this is the same line he gets all the time from the Iraqi Army, and he knows that if he persists, he'll get what he wants. And eventually, the Iraqi commander said, "Okay, fine, you can have X number of guys," and even after he finally relented and agreed to provide some troops, it took forever to get these guys suited up, armed, and in their vehicle. The Iraqi Army, it's at times it seems like sort of a welfare program, like a work program for unemployed locals. They're not always interested in getting out and patrolling and working. They're more interested in sitting on their base, having tea and getting paid. So it's a major challenge for U.S. forces just